Greetings to everyone. Let's proceed to the next question, which is stated as follows. So, the direction points out the following question consists of a sentence or sentences that are either partly or entirely underlined. So, we need to select the answer choice that represents the best revision of the underlined text. So, it also gives some more idea like choice A duplicates the original version. If the original seems better than any of the revisions, then select it. Fine. So, what is the sentence point out here? So, it is stated that in the sentence that, okay, so that some, or you can say that some twice what was in play ahead of the 2016 caucuses being competitive on both sides of the aisle. In the sentence that some twice what was in play ahead of the 2016 caucuses being competitive on both sides of the aisle. How can the phrase correctly revised? Fine. Now look into the option where it is stated A being competitive on both sides, being competitive on both sides of the as, right? That is what it is pointed, that some twice what was in play ahead of the 2016 caucuses being competitive on both sides of the as. Now, if you look into the kind of sentence here, so the sentence gives us some kind of a idea, right? That refers to the sentence revision, or you can say descriptive phrase correction, isn't it? So, if you see that, what it would be a kind of a question types which is referring to the descriptive phrase correction, phrase correction, or you can talk about a kind of a sentence revision question, sentence revision question, isn't it? Now, let's move to the one's idea of this question and try to resolve the error which is pointed here, if any. So the first one is pointed being competitive on both sides of the answer. So which is same as it is given in the statement. The next one is called as which were competitive on both sides of the answer. Then the third one that were competitive on both sides of the answer. And option 4 being competitive on both answers, and fifth one that were competitive on or competitive in both sides of the answer. Now if I look into the kind of a statement which is pointed here, so option A being competitive on both sides of the answer, this choice uh, uses the present participle. What is that? Being, right? So present participle being, which is, you know, we can say that less suitable uh, in this particular context actually, as it does not clearly express the past competitive nature of the caucus. So it is clearly stated that some twice what was in play ahead of the 2016 caucuses being competitive on both sides of the S. So it doesn't clearly convey the past competitive nature of the caucuses, so we cannot go with the option A as the answer, right? Or it doesn't fit into the context also. Now look into the option B, where it is stated which were competitive on both sides of the as, isn't it? So uh, if I talk about that, this option introduces a what you can say non-restrictive relative clause, non-restrictive restrictive relative clause, relative clause. Okay. Uh, so with which is indicating which may imply that competitiveness is an additional, non-essential detail rather than a crucial characteristic. So here you would find out it begins with the word called as a which is clearly indicating a non-restrictive relative clause, and with which may imply that competitiveness is an additional and you can say that non-essential detail rather than what a crucial detail, characteristic. Now moving to the third one, the third one is stated, which is option C. So the third one stated that we're competitive on both sides of the hazard. Now this option maintains, uh, it begins with where that, whereas this one which is using as a non-restrictive clause, being is referring as a means participle form, right? So which is not suitable in this particular statement, um, which is generally using with the choice non-restrictive clause that is using as a means conciseness while correctly expressing that caucuses were what? Caucuses were competitive on both sides of the answer, isn't it? Now, and that's why we can say the uses of that were appropriately connects the noun caucuses to the descriptive phrase about their competitiveness, right? Now, that is why if I use here that, it directly connects to the noun, right? And pointed about that were competitive. So, what were competitive? Caucuses were competitive on both sides of the ism, isn't it? So, um, it describes phrases about their, or it describes phrases phrase about their competitiveness. Now if I move to the next one, so I can consider that option C is suitable in this format or in this particular statement. Now can I look into the option D and E? So option D stated being competitive on both as a, right, being competitive on both as is. So this choice again alters the meaning, right? So being competitive on both aisles. So this one is doing nothing but changing the meaning by replacing sides of the aisle with aisles, AISLE, right? AISLES, aisles, both aisles. So introducing an inaccuracy here, inaccuracy, isn't it? So, and it also begin with a being, which is a nothing but a participle form. Now, option E stated what? That were competitive in both sides of the answer. So this option introduces what? Means a kind of a preposition error. Preposition error using what? Using in both sides of the answer. So here you use nothing but the word called as in, right? Using in before both sides of the answer, which is not the appropriate preposition in this context. So in that case, we can consider also option A is eliminated or wrong. So option D is wrong because of the uses of asels, which create the inaccuracy, right? It should be asel, and second thing is called as the uses of the participle, right? So that makes the means option eliminated too. So option A and B, right, both are also cannot be taken because it begins with being, which is less suitable here, right? And second one, which were competitive, so which is nothing but a non-restrictive clause, right? Imply the competitiveness is an additional. So therefore, we cannot consider this one as it is an additional non-essential detail rather than a crucial characteristic. Hence, we consider option C would be correct, which will be called as a that sum twice what was in play ahead of the 2016 caucuses that were competitiveness on both sides of the answer. So hence the answer should be option C. Okay. So, so answer C would be the answer.